Everybody, welcome back here to Trade Show University. Man, I am just really pumped today. I'm so excited to share a special guest with you because we're talking about something that really haven't talked too much about this topic, but it goes through everybody's business, through every trade show, whether you're an exhibitor, whether you're a show planner, and that is leadership and how important it is because everybody has that within them to some degree. Even if you're working for somebody else, you still have that leadership, and building that up is just going to mean wonderful things for you, for your business, for your shows. And so really proud to have on today Kevin Davis. Kevin is an executive coach. He's an international speaker and a trainer. And for more than 30 years, he has been inspiring, motivating, and equipping others to live out their dreams. He has devoted himself to developing and strengthening the personal and professional growth of others through speaking engagements, through one-on-one leadership building, and most importantly by serving others. Because I've gotten to know Kevin over time. He's a person of strong faith. He's a devoted family man, and I just really respect so much. Kevin, thank you so much for joining me today. Welcome to Trade Show University.
Hey, Jim, thanks so much for the opportunity. Always a pleasure to spend some time with you. And we're kindred spirits. I mean, from the first time we met and several years ago, connected through a podcast group or something. And, we've shared and talked a lot since then. So love your show, love your podcast, love what you're doing and adding value to other people, and excited to be here with you today.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that. As to help us kind of ground us in who you are and how you operate. Give people the three words that are part of your tagline for your business.
Yeah, so my tagline is simply, my life quote is simply this: life is a journey of aligning your dreams, charting your course, and navigating yourself to the purpose-filled life you were created to live. So basically, it's align, chart, navigate. And I believe that is kind of the blueprint, that is the blueprint to success in whatever you want to do in life.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So everyone now has a clue that align, chart, navigate, and we can all do that no matter where we're at in our company, no matter if we're the owner or if we're the brand new entry level. That is our blueprint right there, to align, chart, and navigate as we go through. So, and as we go through today, we're talking about leadership, talking about development. So, Kevin, let's get started at the basic. What would you consider leadership to be?
Well, when we think about leadership, and basically, if we looked at the definition of it, it's going to say it's a process of social influence that will maximize efforts of others towards an achievement or a goal. Now, that would be, maybe Merriam-Webster would tell you what that is, but at the end of the day, leadership is influence. It is influence. John Maxwell said that, and nothing more, nothing less. And every one of us have influence, regardless of our position, our career, our title. But at the end of the day, leadership starts with you. It starts with us as individuals. And, go back to Maxwell, one of my favorite mentors. And, he says, everything rises and falls on leadership. And that is so true, Jim. And it starts with us as individuals. A lot of times we really can't separate who we are from our leader, because it reflects through us. Our leadership styles and the way we lead people is going to be a reflection of who we are on the inside. And that is why sometimes we see, leaders that are kind of like magnets. They just draw people to them. And then we also have them that are just like the opposites, that just push you away from them. But I think that I love one of the statements. I say this often. I hear many times, Jim, people tell me, Kevin, it sure is lonely at the top. It sure is lonely at the top. And you know what? I used to say that, Jim. I used to think that. And then once again, I was at a Maxwell event. He said this. He says, if it's lonely at the top, you're only taking a walk or taking a hike. If you're a leader, you should never be alone. You should have people with you. And I think that as leaders, you should have people. If nobody's around you, you're maybe not leading. And so one of the things that the group that I'm working with now, and I've got a group, and that's what I tell them. My slogan is, I'll see you at the top, because I'm going to the top, but I'm taking you with me. And that's what a true leader does. Leadership is influence, and how we reflect that influence to pour in and develop others. The end result is to maximize the efforts of others toward an achievement or a goal. But I think it has to be a three-way win. I think that we have to win as a leader, they have to win as the follower, and the results that we both produce and what we're doing, whoever gets those has to win as well. So it becomes a three-way win.
Oh, I love all that you're saying there. And reminds me of one of my favorites of all time, Zig Ziglar, who had a book, See You at the Top, I believe.
Yeah.
And just really it's empowering others, empowering yourself and giving yourself the permission to surround yourself with good people. That it's not this lonely journey, that it's better when you're moving together and you having people working together on a similar goals. But for a lot of people out there, what can you touch on the topic of potential? What is it for each person? I think that's one thing that I know when I was starting my career, I looked at very, very shallow, I guess. I looked at around me as to what were my job responsibilities, and that was it. I wasn't able to go beyond that. I wasn't able to see beyond that. And so what is the tip, a tip or give some advice about figuring out what is it that your potential is and how to unlock that?
Man, that's awesome. I'm glad you asked that question, and I'm probably going to give you the long answer to this, but it all falls within. We have to realize whose we are and who we are. We have to realize that we are unique. And I just heard, I read or heard the other day about the DNA. If they strung out our DNA, how many miles long it would be. And everybody is unique and everybody is different. But every one of us, as Zig would say, that we were created to be successful, that we're endowed with the seeds of greatness, that we were designed for accomplishment and created for success and are engineered for success. And so the potential that we have to realize is you have to believe in yourself before anybody else will ever believe in you. Now, if you're going to be a leader, now there's a difference sometimes between confidence and arrogance. I mean, you got to be, there's a fine line there sometimes, but you have to be confident in your ability. You have to be confident in your potential. And I love to tell this story about fleas. And a lot of times people look at me and say, what are you talking about fleas? And if we were to talk about fleas, most of the people now, there's people on the show listening right now, they're starting to scratch and they're thinking, man, that made me itch. Or we think of something that is small, something that is insignificant, something that is really no value whatsoever. But do you realize that even though a flea is a small insect, there is so much ability in that small body. I've done some study and research on this several years back when I was working on Raise the Lid keynote that I do, that a flea can pull 160,000 times its own weight. A flea can jump 150 times its own size. So, Jim, put that in relation to you and me. If we had that ability, you and I could jump to the top of the Empire State Building. If we could
Wow.
do the same thing they could do. They accelerate 50 times faster than the space shuttle when they jump. Now, I've never had the opportunity to be there when the shuttle taken off, but I've seen it on TV multiple times. But I can almost, even through the video, feel the powers that Earth begins to shake and it begins to move. And just in a moment of seconds, that thing is out of sight. But yet a flea can accelerate 50 times faster than that space shuttle. And the last thing that I've seen about fleas is they can jump 30,000 times without taking a break. Now, here's the thing about fleas, though. Although they've got all that potential and power, we see them as something that is insignificant. We see it as something that is no value. We see it as a nuisance. But yet, I read back years ago that you can train fleas. So if you were to put a handful of fleas into a jar, of course, with all this ability, they would just jump out. But if you were to put a lid on that jar and 3 days later remove that lid from the jar, those fleas will hit that lid. And after they hit that lid a few times, all of a sudden they realize this doesn't work out well. They stop just shy of the lid. So they just jump just shy of the lid. 3 days later, you remove that lid. Those fleas will never jump higher than the lid, nor will their offspring ever jump any higher than they did. And so what I tell
Wow.
people is, if a flea was created with that power and ability that is small and insignificant, what do you think you were created with? The powers and abilities that you have within inside of yourself. But yet what happens is we allow lids that we put on ourselves, whether it's fear, whether it's insecurities, whether it's doubt, whether it's something that other people have told us, we allow those lids that keep us from reaching our potential. And when we don't reach our potential, what we're doing is we're robbing everybody else that we have influence with. Leadership is influence. And it said those fleas never jumped any higher than the lid, nor did their offspring. So John Maxwell talks about the law of the lid, that those that follow you are never going to go higher than you are. So in order you to take people farther, you have to go higher yourself. So the potential thing is we all have so much potential within us. It is amazing. There is no doubt when we think about the people that are even listening to this today, that they're so full of people that have accomplished great things, that are doing great things, that are going above and beyond. And people that are already lifting lids and breaking jars and jumping as high as they can, that they can bloom where they're planted. People that have God-given talents and abilities, they have a source of power and beauty that is inside of them that they don't even dream exist. But that's what I like to do. I like to challenge people to awaken that giant within. Realize who you are and whose you are. Realize that abilities that you have. Lift those lids, break those jars, jump as high as you can. But in the meantime, take everybody you can with you, and then we all win.
All right, I'm ready to run through a wall right now.
Yeah.
This has got to be one of my favorite discussions I've
Yeah.
ever had, because this is, wow, this is so motivational. And if anyone, you probably need to rewind that and listen to that section again, because that was just phenomenal. There's so many things. I've heard some things about fleas, but I never heard statistics like that before. Being able to jump 150 times their own size and pull 160 times their weight. That's just phenomenal potential. But you're so right about us as humans. What potential do we have inside us? And we've all heard stories of people that have done incredible things, that built huge companies, that have done incredible feats of strength and athleticism, and but they were encouraged to do that, and they put themselves in a position to be able to do that kind of stuff. But why not you? Why not me? Why can't we also achieve to that? But it's understanding that you do have the potential. As soon as you understand you have this amazing, huge potential, now all of a sudden you can look beyond just your job responsibilities, or just beyond your current scope of work that you're attributed to today, and you can actually then go beyond that. Wow, this is this is outstanding. Did not know we were going to go here, but I'm just really, really thrilled
Yeah.
about that. And I know something that you give a talk called Bloom Where You're Planted, and maybe some of this is from that talk, but talk a little bit about just that phrase, where you're planted. Where did that come from for you, and what does that really mean?
Yeah, yeah, Jim, it just all ties together. And the Align Chart Navigate is my life story. I mean, it is my life story. And the cool thing about it is when I'm coaching and working with other clients that have done successful things, it's their blueprint too. They just didn't realize it. And so the bloom where you're planted come from it come from what my mom used to tell me. So, I grew up in a small town in eastern Kentucky. It's probably one of the poorest counties. I think it's still maybe rated one of the fourth poorest counties in the state of Kentucky. And growing up, most people thought that you had to leave here to be something, that you had to go somewhere else to accomplish something. You had to, you'd never accomplish or be anything here. And that's kind of what we were kind of grew up told. And, I was the third of the class that made the top third possible. So needless to say, I didn't really love school. So I heard a lot of times that, hey, you're never going to amount to anything. Hey, you're not going to be able to, you're not going to do anything. And you're not this and you're not that, and I was smart. I just didn't apply myself in that education side. But my mom would always tell me, she says, son, you can bloom right where you're planted. You don't have to go anywhere. You don't have to leave here to be something. And you know what? That just stuck with me. And, I was fortunate enough that when, I was able to build a company that we built up to 25 locations in 4 states, operating. And the headquarters was right here in Inez, Kentucky, where I live. And we had a corporate headquarters here, that we had training room facilities that people from all over the country would come here and could not believe it was here. And that is just blooming. But in order for me to bloom where I was planted, it took a couple things to happen that way. It started with my mom believing in me. It started with somebody else believing in me. And of course, my mom believed in me. And then it started with, once she believed in me, I had to believe in myself. I had to shake off those fears and those doubts, those insecurities. I had to lift that lid and break that lid, because there was a lot of lids. Where I was from was a lid. Maybe the education that I invested in for myself wasn't that good. So that was a lid. Even my dad went to work in the coal mines when he was 14 years old. It's amazing. He was born in 1914. In 1928, his dad passed away, and he went to work in the coal mines to provide for his sisters and his mom and take care of them. So my dad grew up through the Depression, through the hard times, and when he was kind of, he was so conservative. It was like, hey, be very careful, get a good job, work every day, don't take risks, don't take chance, give to the church, save a little bit. If you can't pay for it, you can't afford it. He made Dave Ramsey blush. I mean, the stuff he used to tell me is, I mean, I love Dave Ramsey, but when I hear Dave Ramsey, I said, my dad was telling me that same stuff. But my dad actually kind of put a lid on me. I remember when I first told him I was going to build my first business. And I went and I told him, I said, Dad, I want to do this. And he says, son, don't do that. You've got a good job. Just keep doing what you're going to do. Don't do that. And my mom was telling me, you can bloom where you're planted. You can do all this stuff. And my dad was saying he meant the best for me, but he was scared. He had lids had been placed on him. And I borrowed money, went in with a partner, and we built that first store. And we built another store. And we built another store. And I go tell my dad, I said, I think I'm going to do it again. He says, son, you're doing good enough with these. Don't risk it. Don't take a chance. Just keep it where you're at. But Jim, one of the most amazing things happened at store 10. I went and I told my dad, I said, hey, Dad, I'm getting ready to start store number 10. He said, are you going to build some more? And so what happened was, not only I talk about leadership as influence, that we take people with us. Not only did I raise my lid, blooming where I was planted, but I raised my dad's lid. My dad started saying, wow, he was excited when I started adding new stores from that point, because all of a sudden he had that confidence. So the bloom where you planted just started with my mom just saying, hey, you don't have to go somewhere to be something. And, she believed in me. That made me to believe in myself. And that's kind of where the bloom where you're planted started at.
Wow, that is a great, great story. And it really shows, like you said, leadership is influence. And that could mean uh, influencing other generations that came before you. And like going back to the flea example, you said, they will only jump so high if they're kept in that jar, and then their offspring won't even jump that high. And so you kind of saw that happening with your father, who was kind of like, hey, no, 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 you don't have to go so far, don't take any risks, because he was trying to keep you in that jar. I mean, with the best of intentions, and that's what happens.
That's what I tell people all the time. My dad loved me better than anything. My dad would have he did sacrifice everything for me and took care of me and done all that stuff. He didn't mean it for my bad. It was just, that's what we do. It's not intentional a lot of times. Even our intentions sometimes aren't bad, but when we limit ourselves, we limit others. And
Absolutely.
we've got to expand our limits so we can expand other people's limits. And that's done through leadership.
Yeah. So think about that. I want you, everybody who's listening right now, I want you to think about, are you keeping a lid on somebody else on your team? Are you creating that lid that you're not allowing them to grow? You're not allowing them to go past. I know I've worked with people. I'm sure a lot of you listening, I'm sure Kevin, you've worked with people who they don't want to see the people around them succeed. They want to keep them kind of down under that lid because it makes them feel better. And they feel that if someone else succeeds, then they're going to look bad. That's going to look bad on me because I'm not going to that point. No, I think if you help other people rise up, then they may turn around and grab you and bring you with them. And that's all right. That's a good thing to do, is continue to do that. So make sure you're not keeping that lid on others. And something that you said earlier, and as we grow, we can get this, be proud of our accomplishments and stuff like that. And then you've got, like you said, there's a difference between having confidence and having arrogance. And there's a fine line there, but making sure that yes, you want to have confidence, you want to instill confidence in those around you, and making sure that you're continuing to grow and you're bringing those people up, and not having that arrogance that it's all about you. And people don't want to be around you, and you want to make sure there are good people around you at all times. This is just fantastic. So when you're working with executives, you're working with people, do you have a framework that you help them go through, anything that helps them stay on course?
Yeah, absolutely. Of course, which I've been in business now for over 30 years. I wrote a book for the quick lube industry, the Quick Lube Expert, which is basically it's kind of an assessment going through the main categories that you have to have in order to have a successful business. And though that was written with my experience in the quick lube, I've had different people in different industries read that book and say, "Oh, this is very applicable. If you change quick lube to C-store, it means the same. It's the same thing." But what I have found is we can go through the business principles. We can go through all the steps. We can make sure we got our KPIs. We can make sure we're marketing. We can make sure we're doing all our administration tasks right. We can do all that stuff. But at the end of the day, Jim, it still goes back to us. So a lot of times what I like to do when I'm working with somebody, we got to get ourselves right before we can get others right. And this is what I read this story a long time ago, and I use this in a lot of my presentations. There was a young executive that came home from work and had to get a project done. And he was working on this project, and he had a toddler. He had a little toddler that kept saying, "Daddy, Daddy, let's go play. Let's go play." And you know what? I put myself back in those days when I was coming home and working, and my kids were saying, "Let's play." And I was saying, "Not now, later, not now, later." And so when I was reading that, I could put myself there. And all of a sudden, the young man had to get this executive had to get it done. So he's seen a picture laying there of the world, of the globe. And so he tore that into pieces and he gave that to his son. And he said, "Go put that together. And when you get finished with that, I'll be ready to play." Now he thought, "Oh, I've got time now." Just in a matter of minutes, the toddler comes back and he brings it and he's got it together. The young executive says, "Son, how did you do that so quick?" He said, "Daddy, it was easy. There was a picture of a man on the back. When I got the man right, the world got right." Jim,
Wow.
let that sink in.
Yeah.
I've never forgot that principle that when we get ourselves right, all of a sudden our world gets right. When we get ourselves right, we can lead right. When we get ourselves right, we can present right at our trade shows. We can be a good exhibitor. We can be a good vendor when we get ourselves right. But if ourselves aren't right, it's hard to get everything else right because you're so focused on these other things. So I really like to spend some time when I'm coaching with people to kind of get down to the root of things and see where are you at. And I developed what I call the purpose-filled life radar. And there's 10 categories on that radar that we examine with people. And as we think about those, the first we talk about spiritual, we talk about health, we talk about spouse, significant other, family, friends, personal development, career, finances, fun and recreation. We still have to have some fun, Jim, and then serving and charity, which I think is the key to it all. And that's part of the purpose-filled life is when you find out the things you've learned and things you've accomplished and gives you the ability to give back to others. That's when you find true purpose and true achievement. But so we put together this little assessment. So we try to go through this and help people kind of find out where we're at. And a lot of these things tie together. A lot of times, if we're having problems in our career, it might be a reflection of not taking care of our health. It could be a reflection of a family issue. It could be a reflection of one of these other things. Each one of these kind of tie into each other. So that's one of the things that I like to work with people, work with them as a whole, because like I said, once we get ourselves right, then all of a sudden the world around us starts getting right.
Oh, that's so good. It's so good. And those 10 areas. Wow.
Uh-huh.
I mean, that is life right there. It's
Uh-huh.
all those different areas. And you're so right about if one of those, you could have nine of them going great, and one of those is not right, you know it, the other people around you know it. And I know that there's been times when I've had myself or a family member struggling with an illness, and you're going to work and you're trying to have that happy face on, but people know, they can tell, hey, Jim, so everything okay? Something wrong? It's like, yeah, deal. So helping get of course there's going to be some things that just throw you off. We go through a
Right.
crisis, something happens, but
Mhm.
as long as there's things that you can control, that you get in control, that's powerful. That sounds
Mhm.
fantastic. Now, is that something that people can do on their own? Is there how do they get access to the radar?
Oh, absolutely, Jim. For your guests and listeners out there today, we're going to put a link in there and give them a free access to the assessment, just the summary assessment that shows them the graph and has that. Now, I just finished a groups coaching session with 12 people that we went through this in 4 weeks of 90-minute sessions. So when they fill out to get this, I'll put them on the list that when I open up another group coaching session, they'll have an opportunity to jump on that and go through that with us. We can also do some personal coaching on that. And I'm working on a online course that people can kind of go through each one of these on their own. It'll be like a 12 module course that they can kind of do self-paced. It's not quite finished yet, but that's going to be tagging along with my new book that's coming out, To Thrive, Bloom Where You're Planted. So lots of resources, lots of there to come out. And once again, it goes back to that aligning our dreams. To align our dreams, we have to first realize our potential, and you have to realize, because you can never dream big if you don't feel like you've got confidence in your ability. So first you believe in yourself, then you can start dreaming really big dreams. I love the saying that if your dreams don't scare you, they're not big enough. So if your dreams aren't scaring you, you're not dreaming big enough. And so once you dream that dream, the next step is the alignment process. You have to believe in that. Now, so many people will tell me, Kevin, this is my dream. This is what I want to do, or what I want to become, or what I want to have. And they follow that up saying, but I could never do that. And no, you never will. You never will if that's your attitude. Once you get that dream, then you have to believe it's going to happen. And then you got to chart your course. You basically, it's a goal setting plan. I've got a complete setting for each one of these. There's 9 steps of, what is this dream? What does this look like for me? What do I have to stop doing to get there? What do I need to start doing to get there? What do I need to learn? What are going to be the benefits of me getting there? What are going to be some of the obstacles that could come up? Who do I need to know to help me get there? Just finding out who you're going to surround yourself back. And then what are the 1 to 2 things I can start now that's going to start getting me closer to that? So you build that plan. So the chart part of the process is taking your dream and turning it into a plan. Then the navigating is executing your plan. A lot of times people have the plan, but they never work the plan. And they tell me, it's like, hey, I've got this great. They're always going to do it, but they never start. You don't have to be great to start, but you have to start to be great. So the navigating side of it, let's execute this plan. And as we're executing this plan, never fail to forget this. Obstacles are going to come up. Things are going to come that's going to try to derail you. That's when you have to go back to believing in your potential and your abilities. That's when you got to look at your dream again. That's when you got to look at your plan and say, hey, here's the benefits that I'm going to, if I get through this, this is the benefits. Oh, I've already know that this could have been an obstacle. So this is my plan to get around this. So when you align that dream, you chart that dream, and you navigate that dream, then all of a sudden you arrive and you achieve that dream. So that's kind of the align, chart, navigate, kind of in a summary there. Aligning your dreams, charting your course, and navigating yourself to the purpose-filled life you were created to live. And I want to tell you, everybody listening to this show today was created to live a purpose-filled life.
Oh my gosh, this has been outstanding. And what a great
Yeah.
way to wrap up our conversation. So share this out with people who need to hear this message, because I know that there's a lot of, if you're like me right now, I'm taking notes. I can't wait to listen back to this and take even more notes. So rewind, listen, and share this thing out. Kevin, this has been outstanding. Thank you so much. And check the show notes. I will be dropping that link to get the assessment itself, the purpose-filled radar. That is a free tool that you're offering, but then they will have opportunities if they want to go deeper, to get some one-on-one coaching or group coaching to really hone in and make sure that they are getting the most out of that is going to be available to them.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You just finished up one course, and hopefully we're going to try to schedule another one here, probably late summer, early fall, to get another group coaching session opened up. So I try to limit it to 12 to 15 people. So those people who do this are going to be on the first list to know about it. So if they get this free assessment, they can look at that, and then they'll be the first to know when the group coaching session opens up.
Awesome. And I know there's a lot of people out there that are going to want to connect with you, and I encourage everybody, connect with Kevin, because what you're hearing today, this is the real deal. He is just a great man, and just really appreciate him being on here and sharing so much. But if people wanted to reach out and connect with you, aside from the Purposeful Radar, what's the best way for them to do that?
mkevindavis.com. I mean, got the website there. You can, sign up find out when the book's going to be released, get more information about getting me scheduled to come and do a keynote for your event. I do a lot of, trade show events, as speaking, doing some of their educational sessions. So, I'm available to do those. You can find out about that there. I do executive coaching, business coaching, I do team training. So a lot of different things you can find out at Kevin Davis. All your social medias, we have, Facebook, probably YouTube, Instagram, M. Kevin Davis is my handle for those. So you should be able to like and follow there so you can stay up to date with what's going on in my world.
Awesome, awesome. And I will drop all that again in the show notes. So click on that, reach out, connect with Kevin. He is, as you know, it's going to be fantastic content. Kevin, thank you so much. This has been just really, really outstanding. I appreciate you sharing all that you've done today. I think people are inspired. I know I'm inspired to go and make some changes and do a real good assessment on myself as to where I'm going. So I appreciate you sharing all this and all the great content.
Hey, Jim, thank you so much. I appreciate what you're doing, all the value you're adding to other people. Keep doing what you're doing, man, for you're making a difference.
Oh, I appreciate that. I hope so. Everyone, thank you for tuning in today. Keep coming back here to campus each week at Trade Show U. You know you're growing. You know you're going to keep getting better results. And we'll see you next time.